Are the biblical Rephaim, the Nephilim, and the ancient giants of Genesis related in any way? Legends of giants are present in almost all mythologies. We have them especially in the Greek mythology, the Cyclops. Perhaps you will not find a single race on earth with which not to tell about some giants rising to the skies and famous for their remarkable strength. Greek mythology emphasizes the dominance of the giants known as the Titans and also their subsequent overthrow. And it was from ancient Greece that the familiar to us myth of the Atlanteans holding the vault of heaven came. But who these Titans and Atlanteans were is not clear for certain. We do know that even in ancient Greece, the gods of Olympus came from the skies. In other words, they were extraterrestrial. Now, Zeus of the Olympian gods led the Titans to their fall. As for Atlantis, the ancient philosophers clearly spoke of its existence and subsequent flooding, and it was also said that the inhabitants of Atlantis were tall. Giants, who are also mentioned in Egypt, Sumeria, Old Slavic, Scandinavian, Japanese, Chinese, Native American mythologies. In Hinduism, they act under the name of Asuras. They are giants in biblical sources as well. The ancient Jews knew about the mysterious civilizations of Titans, particular half-breeds, children of the fallen angels, and mortal women. In the Old Testament, the pre-Jewish texts of Canaan, there are references to the Rephaim race, else called the Rephaites or Rephaim. In the Septuagint and Vulgate, this word was translated as giants. Also, this name began to be called the wicked, those who were far from holiness and purity as well. They were also the dead, quote unquote. The Jews also called the tall tribes of Palestine, preserved from antediluvian times. Also mentioned are the Nephilim, angelic beings from whom the Rephaim subsequently descended. The book of Job says, "The Rephaim tremble under the waters, and those who dwell in them." It's noteworthy that the phrase "under the waters" is noted here, which reminds all the same ancient legend of the sunken Atlantis. Rephaim can also be identified with the Nephilim. In the book of Enoch, the Nephilim are the children of humans and guardian angels, while the Rephaim are the offspring of humans and fallen angels. In apocryphal tales, the Rephaim are said to be terrible monsters, 18 cubits tall, with 16 rows of teeth and 6 fingers and toes. Their remarkable physical strength and ferocity were also noted. The place of residence of the Rephaim was supposedly in the lands of the Ammonites, or the land of Bashan and Moab, that is around Israel, of course, but their true homeland remains unknown. After the arrival of the Jews in Palestine, the giants were practically absent from these lands. Legend says that there were some tribes in which tall people lived. The Rephaims included Goliath and his brothers, the mysterious giant warrior who fought on the side of the Philistines, previous people of the seas. We know that also from the Old Testament, the Philistines came from the island of Crete of ancient Greece. Everyone knows the myth about how David defeated the giant Goliath with one blow of his sling. Obviously, Goliath was still a man and not a supernatural entity. He was a giant, though. It turns out that if Goliath was really considered a descendant of Rephaims, his distant ancestors hardly looked as described in the apocryphal legend. It's likely that these giants could be a subspecies of humans, existed before the flood or even in the Ice Age. Science denies the existence of civilizations before the glacier, but this does not mean that they did not exist. Also, this does not prove that after the fall of pre-civilizations, their representatives completely evaporated. Chronicles say that at least 4 more giants found on the side of the Philistines against the Jews and the people of Palestine. The famous one was Ishbi-Benob, whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass. Ishbi-Benob was aware of David's popularity after his victory over Goliath, but the battle between the giant and the Jewish king never took place. Ishbi-Benob was not killed by David, but by Abishai, the son of Saruin. Goliath had a brother named Lahmi, who was smitten by Elhanan. Also, a Rephaim warrior named Saphuth fought for the Philistines, but he was defeated by another hero of ancient times, Sovohai. The name of the fourth Rephaim on the side of the people of the sea, quote unquote, is not mentioned. The Bible talks about abnormalities in his body and 6 fingers. This giant was already defeated by Jonathan, the son of David's brother. The Philistines lost the war against the Jews and then completely disappeared as a race. Together with them, their tales and myths disappeared. Therefore, science recognizes the legendary giants of antiquity as nothing more than a fiction of the chroniclers. But why then are they mentioned almost everywhere? Were they a byproduct of humanity's collective fantasy? It was hardly possible in ancient times. The question of who exactly the Rephaim were still remains unanswered, but whoever they are, they no longer exist in our world. If once their civilization was considered powerful on earth, then these times have sunk forever into oblivion. The only trace left of them is myths and legends. And this is on Solas. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. My Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.